Is there a way that you can actually measure the risk inside your portfolio? In today's episode of 50 Shades of Money, we're going to discuss that topic. Hey Dan, is there a way to actually measure the amount of risk inside your portfolio to determine what type of investor you are and how much money you're actually willing to lose in a major market crash?
Jim, I think there is, because there's a couple tests we can run. One of them is more of a psychology test that we'll talk about. The other is more of a scientific test. And if you can combine psychology with numbers, science, I think we really can come up with some great answers for the viewers on what they need to do. So we've found that there's only 5 types of investors you can be, as far as naming them. You can be ultra-conservative, you can be conservative, you can be moderate, you can be aggressive, and you can be speculative. And a lot of times people don't know what those definitions mean. A lot of times people say, well, I'm aggressive. But we know they really aren't, especially after we talk to them. So when you look at those 5 types of investors, if those are the 5 types you could be, what does that really mean, Jim, as far as how much should someone be willing to risk if they're those 5 types?
Well, it kind of depends on what type of investor you are and what level of risk you're willing to take. And the key component in this whole process is determining how much that client or any client is willing to lose inside their portfolio. If you're ultra conservative, that means you don't want to lose any money at all, so we have to position your assets accordingly. If you're conservative, and the way we look at this is that means you're willing to take a 10% hit or loss on your portfolio in a major crash. If you're moderate, you say, well, I'll take more risk. I can afford to lose 20% of my money in a crash. If you're aggressive, that means you're going to take as much risk as the market. So if the market goes down by 40%, like it did in 2008, you're willing to lose, if you have $1 million, you're willing to lose $400,000, which means you're left with $600,000. That means aggressive from us, because you're going to take as much risk as the S&P in our example, or the market in general. If you're speculative, that means your portfolio is positioned so it's going to take even more risk than if you're aggressive, and you're going to lose more money than the market itself. So Dan, how would you quantify that in dollars so that we can all understand this?
Well, ultimately, let's assume you have $1 million in your IRA. And if you're ultra conservative, most people are going to say they don't want to lose 1 penny. That means $1 million has to suffer a maximum 0% loss, a $0 loss. You have $1 million, the worst case is you're going to have $1 million. That's ultra conservative. A conservative plan would have up to 10% risk in the portfolio, meaning if you have $1 million in your portfolio, you're willing to lose a maximum in the worst case scenario, not the best case scenario, the worst case scenario of $100,000. That means a $1 million portfolio would go down to $900,000. And what we find is most retirees, that's their limit. They do not want to lose any more than that. They don't want to lose anything, but they don't want to lose any more than that. Because then when you start talking about these bigger numbers, what if you lose 20%? And you lose 20% of $1 million, now you're down to $800,000 at the end of 12 months. How many retirees could sit there and say, yeah, I'm comfortable, I'm fine with that type of loss? Are you comfortable knowing if you have $1 million right now that you would lose $200,000 with a 20% loss? How about if you're aggressive and you have to suffer a 40% loss like you discussed? Are you comfortable right now knowing if you have $1 million, that could only be worth $600,000 after another scenario like 2008? Can you really say, yes, I'm comfortable? And can your spouse say, yes, he or she also is comfortable with that type of decision? Most people can't. They have to say, no, I'm not comfortable. I have to limit my losses up to that maximum 10%.
Yeah, and what's really amazing, and we discussed this on different episodes, we see multiple clients every single day that come into our firm, want us to do a second opinion for them, and they all believe they're between ultra-conservative and conservative. You know, they're not going to lose more than 10% because that's what they told their broker or their advisor. After we use these, we use very sophisticated outside third-party tools that allow us to actually measure the risk inside of every client's portfolio scientifically and mathematically. Our goal and our sole focus and our skill set revolves around eliminating that major possibility of a major market crash inside of a client's portfolio.
I think the whole goal then, like we talked about at the beginning, is how can we pinpoint the amount of risk someone has? And we can do that. We can give it to you in writing. We can show you if we had another 2008, what would happen to your current portfolio? If we had another financial crisis, which was between October 07 to March 09, a period of about 16 months, what would happen to your portfolio? If the market went down 53%, how much would you lose? And that kind of information is vital. You have to have that data. So how would you feel if you knew that? You had a report that said, if anything bad happens, here's what will happen to your money. You need that so you can make better decisions with your money.
You can't just rely on an advisor telling you or a brokerage company telling you you're conservatively or moderately positioned. You have to have this in writing. It's imperative. It's your life, it's your money, it's your retirement. If you like this video, want to create your own retirement income plan, we've just created a brand new video that will walk you through this process. All you need to do is click the link below and we'll send that video to you.